This is zinc, number 30. The prescription drugs I have to live on suppress my immune system, so I'll have to get more religious about taking more vitamins and minerals. Time to OD on vitamin C, take my daily B, E, get everything from A to zinc. It's funny, I see zinc in throat lozenges for colds, so I should hedge my bets and take zinc every day. My sister was stunned when she heard this. You can take that much? I can't take zinc daily. But the thing is, zinc is in almost 100 enzymes needed for plant and animal life. Besides, when cold season comes, I see more and more ads for zinc in lozenges and OTC medications. And 2 billion people in developed countries even have zinc deficiency, which could cause growth retardation, delayed sexual maturity, regular diarrhea, or the one that I have to fear, infection susceptibility. But since zinc, the element, is so hard and brittle, too much zinc can sap the copper from our bodies, and we need those metal elements coursing through our veins. And soil with too much zinc could mean the plants we eat don't absorb the other metals they need. And it's funny, since it was discovered in the 1700s, alchemists used to burn zinc from the air to get what they called white snow, or philosopher's wool, because it collected in puffs. Philosopher's wool. Maybe I can wax philosophic about how zinc, this philosopher's wool, can protect my immune system and help me grapple with more philosophical questions in life. But then the Germans discovered that zinc is a great anti-corrosive agent, more reactive than iron or steel. It stops metals from corroding, it can stop wood from catching fire, but we need zinc within us as well as around what we need. I don't know. I'm just glad that my stomach doesn't react badly to taking zinc supplements daily, because since I want to make sure I'm as healthy as I can be for as long as I can be, getting more of a metallic element like zinc than the average person does really is a small price to pay. Thank you. The next one, I feel weird to say thank you. This next one is an interesting take on one you might know. Number 20, this is calcium. The media shoves it down our throats now, how important it is for women to have calcium. Don't get osteoporosis, take calcium. Drink an extra glass of milk each day. It's healthy. And you know, I take my supplements to inject the WZRD for calcium, but I'm sure those pills barely get absorbed. And as an infant at 6 months, I even rejected milk, and I can't understand why it's smart to drink milk from another species as an adult. No, and no other species would ever do the same. But adults didn't suffer with osteoporosis before the 1700s. Did osteoporosis not exist till then? Then what has changed in our society that porous bones are now a real concern for older people? I just watched a documentary recently advocating a plant-based diet that talked about the global promotion of meat consumption to get enough protein. Now, I know excess protein consumption can pull the calcium from your bones, but this documentary showed how China had lived for millennia without excess red meat or processed food. And now, with dietary modern luxuries in China, along with new record highs for heart attacks, youth were interviewed on the streets of China and asked why they needed to eat more meat. They all said, for protein. So when calcium usually comes from milk or cheese, how can vegans with a plant-based diet get enough calcium to save them from bone decay? Now, calcium is chiefly found in sedimentary rocks, and we've even used calcium in construction. Makes sense if we need it for stronger bones. Calcium carbonate is used in concrete and mortar and limestone. Calcium is even in glass manufacturing. Then again, calcium arsenate is an insecticide, and calcium carbonate is in acrylic torches. And of course, calcium's in animal feed and vitamin pills. Now, 90% of all of our calcium is in our bones and teeth, which we want to keep strong. And calcium can stop osteoporosis, or even rickets, or difficulty with blood clotting. And here's the weird one. You can even get calcium in egg shells. Just grind them up for more calcium in your diet. But calcium is also used when making cheese. Calcium ions actually make the milk coagulate, which is cool for this pizzatarian staple. But if calcium's in cheese and eggshells, can a plant-based diet provide enough calcium? Well, I know vegetables do contain some calcium, and I know soy milk and other vegetable milks are fortified with calcium. But it's also good to know that calcium sulfates have been used for millennia to coagulate the protein-filled tofu. I know, calcium and its ions are used in a ton of different things, but it's nice to see vegetable sources to get this vital calcium into my extended bones, too. Alright, I think I'm going to go with one that you might find funny, little Miss DJ. This one is number 17 in the periodic table, is chlorine. My dad ran a construction company, and after building our house, he later built a swimming pool in our backyard. After that, my brother even got a diving scholarship in college, and even competed against Olympic diver Greg Louganis. But every summer, after filling the pool with water and adding chlorine, my best friend would cover over and play in the chemically clean pool every day. Even as a toddler, with a mortal fear of falling backwards into a vat of chlorine, my sister would have to reteach me every year how to back dive into the chlorine pool. But with my dad retired in Florida, I visit him during the cold Chicago winters and sit by the pool, where the chlorine actually smells good in the 100-degree heat. But, of course, the chlorine would smell good. Chlorine's even used in drinking water. We use chlorine in pools when chlorine is usually found in salt, like in the earth, as well as in oceans, like the Dead Sea. But just smell it. Too much chlorine is a really bad thing, and this element as a gas was even a weapon in World War II. The Germans used Bertholite bombs, which smelled like pepper and pineapple, actually, and chlorine bombs were even used in the Iraq War. So yeah, chlorine might not be good for you, but in the right amounts, chlorine can kill off what might be bad for you too. And I'm sorry, but that swimming pool was just way too much fun to get rid of chlorine altogether.
Yeah.
This one's an interesting one, because what do you think of when you think of number 33 in the periodic table? This is arsenic. Poisonous arsenic is used in paints, dyes, metals, drugs, soaps, even animal feeding operations. We seem to hunt down ways to kill ourselves, don't we? Dukes to kings were poisoned with arsenic. Impressionist painters painted with arsenic-laced emerald green paint, which caused diabetes and blindness. Then I heard NASA announce that arsenic-based life forms were discovered on Earth. But how could something that kills actually help produce life? Now, in order for life to exist, we need 6 elements: carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and sulfur. Well, NASA scientists checked if any bacterium could ever live in an arsenic-flooded environment. So they went to Mono Lake, California, to see if anything could thrive there with a surplus of salts and excesses of arsenic. So NASA pulled phosphorus from that elemental sextet of life, and lo and behold, a minute species used arsenic instead of phosphorus there. And at Mono Lake, it thrived there quite nicely. So I suppose NASA found even more bizarre life in California that we're not used to. Darwinism may show that species can adapt to survive, because who knows, arsenic in place of phosphorus on Earth may date back to the origin of life, where it may have occurred in arsenic-rich hydrothermal vents. I don't know if we want to create arsenic life forms here on Earth, but knowing this is possible increases the probability of finding life elsewhere in the universe. And it's nice to know that we're looking at all possibilities when looking for what is ultimately good for life in this universe.
Yeah!
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now this one's funny. I bet you don't know what element number 76 is.
Oh no!
It is osmium.
Ooh!
Do you know what they call osmium? Exactly. So
Osmium.
this is osmium. Hearing the word osmium And not knowing what it meant, all I could think of was the Osmonds. And then I had this crazy 1970s flashback to watching the Donnie and Marie Osmond show. When I was little, I even had the Donnie and Marie Barbie-style dolls and play set with a stage for them for singing. They had microphones, and this is the best part. The Donnie and Marie dolls had holes through their hands so microphones could snap into their little hands. If only these dolls with blood, because then Donnie and Marie stigmata would be complete. It was just crazy. These Donnie and Marie dolls must have had that stigmata so they could have a strong bond with that microphone, like that strong Osmond family bond. Because I'm sure a family bond is harder than anything. And no, I didn't know what osmium was, but osmium is actually a blue grade of black metal, and it's actually the strongest, densest metal in the platinum family, even remaining lustrous at high temperatures. And you know, I've got a medical bracelet that I have to wear all the time. If my medical bracelet was made out of osmium, it would probably last forever. But then again, osmium is probably too brittle to shape into a bracelet, so I'm sure they use osmium in applications where durability and hardness are needed, like in minute, repetitive things like using fountain pen nibs or repetitive electrical contacts. And the thing is, osmium is actually the least abundant element on this planet. So I guess it makes sense that it's only used in such small amounts when minute, exacting things need to last. And when it comes to the minute, osmium can also be used for fingerprint detection, and it can even stain fatty tissues for optical and electron microscopy. So since we can't get much osmium, it's excellent cool that it can also be used microscopically like that. So maybe if something as dense and hard as osmium is actually quite rare here, we can still grow quite a strong bond to it, even if we only use it in such small amounts, because it will help our lives become that much stronger.
Yeah!
Well, since that was 76, I thought I'd stay near that and go with platinum number 78. A secretary at the Chicago Board of Trade dated a trader, but after they were engaged, she cheated on him. They broke off their engagement until he forgave her and offered her an engagement ring in a thick platinum setting. Looking like white gold, platinum was more expensive, so she was pleased that he spent more money on her. Well, they married, but divorced in a few years. It's a shame that marriage couldn't last as long as that platinum engagement ring made out of one of the strongest metal elements in the periodic table. I wonder what they did with that ring. I hope they returned it so a stronger couple would have better accentuated that stronger platinum ring and be a better match for all time. Since platinum is so strong and durable and resistant to heat, platinum has been used in everything from razor edges to spark plugs to catalytic converters. It's in high accuracy electronic thermometers, and platinum parts are launched into outer space because platinum can withstand anything the universe may throw at it. But when I mentioned platinum to someone recently, the only thing they thought it was for was wealth accumulation. And I thought, for what? Like buying gold bars? Because even though I see cash for gold ads, I haven't seen people or places making cash for platinum calls. But wealth accumulation must be right. It has a higher value than gold, and it is also strong enough for everything from wedding bands to outer space to truly withstand the test of time. Thank you. Well, you know, I did 76 and 78. I figure I might as well go to the one in between. Another one that you probably aren't familiar with. This is Iridium. I was thinking about jewelry settings, like platinum group metal, so I could find just the right metal for the perfect setting. But wait. In the periodic table, right next to platinum, there's iridium. It's the second densest element there is, and it looks silvery white like platinum, but it also has just a hint of a gold hue to it. This sounds perfect. But wait a minute, because iridium is so hard and brittle, it would probably break apart. But one thing that's cool is that when scientists studied the Cretaceous and the Paleogene period boundary from 65 million years ago, they found a strong layer of iridium-rich clay. And no one knows for sure, but scientist Luis Alvarez and his team theorized that a massive asteroid collision or a comet impact, which may have led to the driving the dinosaurs to extinction, that these interstellar objects that collided with the Earth were rich in iridium, leaving iridium in the clay that separated these two geologic periods. It's just a theory, but it sounds kind of cool, and it's just more way to find iridium so fascinating, even if I can't have it in jewelry. Now that I think about it, there might be something to this Alvarez theory, because right now there is what they call the Iridium Satellite Constellation, which literally is a set of satellites covering voice and data storage around the world for cell phones and mobile electronic devices. So yeah, if iridium can relate to a change in geologic historic periods, and if it can relate to satellites orbiting the Earth now for global communication, that's all the more reason to admire this dense, heavy element anywhere we can find it.
Yeah.
It's fascinating learning these things about this. It really is. Now, I've got one more that I'm going to do, and this is an edited version because everybody knows the element silver, right?
Sure.
You know, you think about it, you know.
Uh-huh.
So I've just got little bits of number 7, the periodic table, because it's silver. Silver, mixed with other metals, can make amalgams for people like me with too many cavities to count. Now, silver may be a worthwhile metal element, but I was relieved when the dentist fixed those fillings and replaced them with amalgams matching the color of my teeth. I worked for years for a minor in photography in college, with photojournalism to portraiture to political to art photography. I'd wind my own film, coated with an emulsion containing light-sensitive silver halide salts. I loved working in that dark room, seeing images appear that I captured with my silver emulsion film. I've collected silver coins from around the globe for years, but my mother, years ago, played the dollar slots in Vegas, back in the day when the slot machines actually paid you coins directly to you and didn't give you a card that you needed to cash in. And she won tons of these silver dollars once while playing. For decades, she kept a jar in the cabinet in the kitchen, and it was actually labeled Ma, and it was filled with these silver dollars. The silver dollars were given to me after she passed away, and now I have stacks of these century-old silver dollars displayed with all my other silver and metal coins from around the world. I know the 1888 silver dollar my mom won is so worn that it can't be worth much, but trust me, in my opinion, it's priceless.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great. Thank you, Janet. And you're going to be able to see Janet Kuypers in person this coming Wednesday, January 30th.
Yep.
At the Chicago Cultural Center in the Randolph Room. It's actually on the Washington Street side, so it's 78 East Washington. And you walk in, and there's a big, gorgeous room at the bottom of the stairs, and there's all kinds of tables there. There's going to be a podium, and we have a mic set up, and Janet always records the work that she does, so you'll be able to see it on YouTube too, just in case you miss it. But you really want to be there in person because she's so lovely and amazing. And you'll be able to say, I was there. It's the inaugural event of the Poetry Saloon at noon at the Chicago Cultural Center, which is really cool. I'm really glad that they're opening it up to poetry and the people. You know, what is the saloon but the voice of the common man?
And I'm honored to be a part of it. I really am.
Oh, thank
I'm really
you.
thrilled to be able to.
Thank you.
I've been seeing you the longest time, and you showed up to her like, by the way, do you want to be in this? Oh, I'd love to.
Oh, it's going to be
Thank
so
you.
much fun. I'm really looking forward to it too. I was honored to have been invited. It's the brainchild of Ida Jablanovic.